really excited to be a part of the Plum Wellness sessions, especially, seeing so many of you over here. And again, I'd like to apologize for canceling last time's session. I fell unwell, and I'm so glad to see so many of you over here with me today. So like Sanjeet said, today's session is going to be in two sections. So the first part is going to have a short 15 to 20 minute warm up, workout, and cool down to help improve your posture, just because we've been sitting so much at home working from our laptops. So I think it's really important to correct our posture. Learn simple exercises. These are body weight exercises that you can do at home on a daily basis, 3 to 4 times a week, depending on how much time you can give to it, to improve your posture, maintain your spine health, maintain the way you breathe. And from there, we're going to move into a little talk on nutrition, where we're going to understand the fundamentals of nutrition, understand how to create healthy, well-balanced plates, and read nutrition labels, and overall take charge of your nutrition and health. So without further ado, we're going to jump right into it. I hope all of you are in comfortable workout clothes and are going to do this warm up and short exercise session with me. Just because when you're doing it rather than watching me exercise, I think you'll be able to understand where exactly you're supposed to feel the different exercises, improve your posture, and get a better understanding of it. So I'm just going to head onto my mat. I want you to do the same with me. Sit in a comfortable posture. So I am sitting in Vajrasan, and for the next 10 seconds to 30 seconds, we're just going to focus on our breathing. What is the correct way to breathe? So oftentimes during the day, when you find yourself stressed, you'll realize you're taking very short breaths where you're like very chest centric breathing. So now we're going to focus on belly and diaphragmatic breathing, which is the main muscle that controls your breathing. Okay. So sit in a comfortable posture. I'm going to explain the movement to you first, and then we're going to do it together. So sit in a comfortable posture, place your hand underneath your chest on your rib cage, and focus on pushing your chest and belly outwards as well as to the side. So when you inhale, think about a balloon that's expanding frontways and sideways. That's exactly what our cylindrical trunk is. It's a balloon. So close your eyes, get onto the mat, and let's focus on our breathing. So as you inhale, push your belly out, push your chest out. As you exhale, pull the belly in, pull your chest in. Okay, so let's close our eyes and focus on this for the next 30 seconds. Deep breath in, try to create a C sound as you exhale. Feel the focus building, feel your heart rate coming back down. So there's a very direct correlation with your heart rate and the breathing technique. So when you focus on long exhales, your heart rate automatically slows down. So even if you find yourself stressed during the day, you've got a stressful work email, a stressful call, just take a second out and focus on deep exhalation from the belly to help bring your heart rate down, help calm your nerves down. Another 10 seconds. So deep inhale, push the belly out, push into your hands. And as you exhale, pull your belly button into the spine. Keep your spine erect. Exhale out. Last breath in. Push the belly out. Expand your chest. Exhale. Pull the belly in. Create a sound at the back of the throat. Last one together. Push into the hands sideways as well. Exhale. Pull your belly button in. Super. From here, we're going to start off by warming up our spine. Let's get into a cat-cow position. So your palms and shoulders should be in one line. Hips and knees in one line. From here, you're just going to inhale and arch the back. Exhale, round. Pull your belly button in. As you exhale, pull the belly button into your spine. Push away from the ground. Let's do this together now. So inhale, lift up, arch, widen your chest. This is a great way to warm up your entire spine. Exhale, round, push away from the ground. Keep pressing away from the ground. Inhale and arch. This is something you can do first thing in the morning when you wake up, especially if you find yourself waking up with a very stiff back. Again, focus on your breath. Exhale. Push away from the ground. Round your back. Inhale and arch. Open up your chest to the front of the room. Exhale, round. Push away from the ground. Last one. Inhale and arch. Exhale and round. From here, just watch what I'm doing first and then we can do it together. Take your right or left hand. I'm just going to demonstrate with my left hand first so it's easier for you to see. Place it gently at the back of your head. Make sure your back is flat so you're not arching nor are you rounding. Your belly button is lightly engaged. Place the hand at the back of the head. Tap the elbow into the opposite elbow. Inhale and rotate up, looking up towards the ceiling. Exhale down. Inhale and rotate up. Now this exercise is a thoracic opener. So oftentimes when we're on, you're going to watch me doing a lot of this. So when we're on our laptop, our shoulders tend to round, our chest gets tight, our back gets tight. So this is a great way to open up the chest, open up the middle of your spine. So let's do this together. 5 on the left, 5 on the right. Tap elbow into elbow. Inhale to open up. Exhale, come back in. In case anybody has any wrist pain, you can just keep the hands together here or straight in front of you and open up this way. This is an easier way to do the same thing. Okay. Remember, you're turning and opening and inhaling from the chest and not just throwing your shoulder back. So 5 on your right, 5 on your left. Inhale and open up. Remember, keep your abs engaged, keep the spine flat. Inhale and open up, nice and strong. Look at your elbow. Open up the spine. Last one. Inhale, rotate up. And relax. From here, just sit back on your hips and start, make a figure of 8. So grab your one wrist, palms interlocked and just rotate the wrist. Give your wrist a little bit of relief. Again, we use them a lot while we're typing during the day. So this is a great way to open them up. From here, step into a high plank. So palms and shoulders in one line. Hips, again, step back behind you. And just push your hips up, legs come a little bit forward. Push into a downward dog and just gently start to pedal your feet. This is a great way to open up your hamstrings, chest, back. Keep pushing away from the ground. Try to bring your chest closer to your thighs and drop the knees down. From here, bring the foot, just gently sit back. Bring your foot forward, place the hands on either side. So my right leg is between the palms. And from here, I'm just going to sit back onto my hips. Inhale and come forward. You want to maintain a nice 90-degree angle. So your knee and ankle should be in one line. Don't push your knee too forward. Make sure this is in one straight line. From here, you're gently going to sit back, pull the toes towards you. Try not to move your hands. Keep the hands where they are. This is a great way to open up your hamstrings. So let's do this together now. 5 on the right leg, 5 on the left leg. Taking this at your own pace. Exhale, sit back. Inhale, look forward, keep your spine nice and flat when you come up. Again, exhale, sit back, straighten out this leg as much as you can go. Even if this is where you are today, that's completely fine. Don't try to overstretch the muscle. You might get a pull. So really going nice and slow with it. Inhale, open up. Exhale, sit back, pull your toes towards you. Inhale and open up. This is a great way to open up your hamstrings and your hip flexors. Exhale and sit back. Last one on your right hand side. And then from there, bring the right leg back and switch with the left leg between your palms now. Open up your hips behind you. Exhale, sit back. You might find one side is tighter than the other, but again, try to maintain this 90-degree angle. Don't push your knee too forward. Keep the back knee rested on the floor because we're warming up. We don't want to push it. Okay, so 5 on the left side. Inhale, open up. Feel your hips opening. Exhale, sit back. Inhale and open up. Exhale and sit back. Try to keep your hips centered, straightening out the leg as much as you can go. It doesn't have to go as much as I'm going. Really depends on your flexibility. Inhale and open up. Exhale and sit back. Last 2 on the left side. Inhale, open up. Feel your spine opening. Pull the toes towards you. Inhale up. Exhale and sit back. Super, guys. From here, bring the leg back here. Just again, sit back. You want your palms again. So just give your wrists a little bit of relief. Start to shake it off. Keep rounding and circling the wrist. Make a spindle. Shake it off. From here, lie down on your back. Okay, we're going to move into some of the activation exercises. Now, these exercises that I'm showing you are really important to strengthen your glutes, your core, your shoulders, back, everything. So the first exercise is called a glute bridge. So you want to lie down flat on your spine. From here, just bend and drop the legs down. Tuck the tailbone in. So make sure your lower back is flat and pressed into the ground. So your abs are engaged. There should be no gap between the floor. So you should ideally not be able to put your hands through. So tuck the tailbone in, abs tight, push your belly button into the spine and lower back completely flat on the floor. From here, press into your heels, press your palms into the floor and lift the hips up. Gently come back down with control. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate it once more. Lift the hips up and come back down with control. Okay, so keep the lower belly flat. We're going to do 10 repetitions of this exercise called glute bridge. This is a great way to strengthen your glutes, hamstring, core. Okay, let's do this together for 10 reps. Press your heels into the ground, press your palms into the ground, lift up, come back down with control. Lift up. There should be no pain in the lower abs, in the lower back, no pain in the lower back. Okay, it's all on your glutes and core and hamstrings. Again, let's go. You'll start to feel a burn in the glutes if you're doing it correctly. Drive your heels into the ground, lift the hips up. Keep your abs engaged, keep the glutes engaged. Again, this is a great exercise to do every day. It's completely safe. Just remember, it should not come on your lower back. It's just coming on the glutes, hamstrings, and hips. Let's go. Last 2 rounds. Last rep. And relax. Super. From here, we're going to move into an exercise called the tabletop hold. So maintaining this flat lower back, okay? No gap between the lower back and the floor. So lower back is completely flat into the floor. Lift one leg off the ground. Slowly lift the other leg off the ground and press your hands either into the floor or straight up. If you want to make it tougher, then hands straight up. Otherwise, press your palms into the ground and just count loudly to 30. Count to 30 loudly and keep pulling your belly button into the spine, making sure that the lower back is flat. The legs are nice and straight in line with the hip. So the knees shouldn't be too forward or too away from you. Lower back completely flat, abs engaged, and count loudly to 30 and feel your abs working with every count. So 1, 2, 3, 4. Keep counting. Feel the abs working. Keep pulling your belly button into the spine. Make sure the legs are flat so somebody can rest a tray also over there. That's why it's called a tabletop, because you become a tabletop basically. So keep holding, keep pulling your belly button into the spine. Feel that burn in your core as you hold last 5 counts. 5, 4, 3, 2, and relax. From here, slowly come down. We're going to repeat both of these exercises now. First, the glute bridges, then the tabletop hold. Again, this is a great way to strengthen your abs and the glutes. So let's go. First exercise, glute bridges. Press your palms into the ground, press your heels into the ground, and let's get started together. Lifting up, squeeze your glutes, lift the hips up towards the sky, maintaining a flat lower back, squeezing the glutes up with every rep. Let's keep going. Drive the heels into the ground, abs engaged, only 10 reps, making sure you're using the back of the legs, the glutes, the abs. Last 5, drive up. 4, 3, last one, and relax. From here, moving directly into the tabletop hold this time. Lower back completely flat, slowly lifting one leg off, then the other, abs engaged and hands straight. Let's count to 30. I want you to count for yourself. I'm counting in my head and talking to you guys. So I'm making it double challenging for myself. Okay, lower back completely flat. Keep your hands nice and straight. So if someone had to come and push your legs, you shouldn't move. It should be nice and straight. Like if someone came to push you, shouldn't happen. You can even try that with yourself. Making sure that you're nice and strong in this hold. Keep counting. Last 10, 9. Keep your lower abs completely flat. 7, 6, 5. Feel the pose starting to shake. 3, 2, and relax. Super. From here, the next exercise is a single leg raise. Again, this exercise is really good to strengthen the front of your leg as you're lifting up. And while you come back down, do it with control so the back of the legs also start to strengthen. So you want to make sure one leg is bent, lower back again flat, pull the toes towards you, lift the leg up to 90 degrees, come back down with control. So if you can see, I'm not just letting my leg drop down to the floor. I'm fighting gravity and going back down with control. Okay, so I want 10 reps on one leg and then 10 reps on the other leg. So let's go 10 reps with the left, making sure that you're lifting up and down with control. Don't lock your knee, but straighten the leg. So there should be no pressure on the knee joint. It's all coming on your muscles. This is a good way to warm up and strengthen the muscles. So let's go. We have 5 more reps on the left. I started with my left just so it'll be easier for you all to see. And then I'm going to move on to my right. And you can switch leg, pull the toes towards you and move on to the other leg. Nice and straight. It's okay if your leg doesn't come all the way to 90 degrees. Try to keep it as straight as possible and feel the muscle work. Make sure that your lower back is flat on the ground. Abs are again engaged. You're using your core in every movement. Up and down. This is a great way to strengthen your legs. Let's keep going. Last 2. And relax. Lovely. From here, we're going to take the same tabletop exercise and make it slightly more challenging. Now we're going to start challenging our coordination as well. Okay, so come back into the tabletop. Hands straight up, lower back completely flat. There's no gap between my lower back as well as the mat. Okay, from here, I'm going to straighten my right hand and left leg. So opposite hand, opposite leg straightens, comes back to the center. Again, straightens, comes back to the center. Okay, we want to do 6 on each side. That and then repeat both of these exercises again. Okay, so let's go together. Abs completely flat. You can switch between sides. So open up your right hand, left leg, left hand, right leg. Let's keep going. This exercise is called dead bugs. It's again a great way to strengthen the full body. Pull the arm back from the back of your shoulder. And let's get started. I hope you're doing this with me. Extend the arm nice and back. Keep your core engaged. Feel the abs working as you extend the legs back. I'm already starting to work up a sweat just by these exercises that look simple but are very effective when done correctly. Last one on each side. And relax. Super. Take a breather, 5 seconds, and then let's repeat both these exercises. First is the single leg raises, and then is the dead bug. Like imagine like how a bug looks, it's kind of like that. So that's where this exercise gets the name. Okay, starting with the single leg raises, straightening out one leg, keeping the other leg bent, and let's go. Raise the leg up, come down with control. Lift the leg up. 10 reps on your left, 10 reps on your right. Last set of this, so I want everybody to do it with me. Pull the leg up towards you, come back down with control. Abs are nice and engaged. We're going to lift up with control, come back down. Don't let your leg touch down. Just before it touches the ground, you lift back up again. Last two. And switch legs when you're done with 10. Keep going. Make sure that your hips are in one line and not rocking side to side. Keep the abs engaged. 2. And last one for me. And relax. Super. From here, we're going to move into the dead bugs. So lower back completely flat, lifting my legs up into the tabletop position. Hands straight up. Try to find the coordination. Abs engaged and opening back with control. 6 on each side, guys. Open your hand and leg back all the way. Keep your abs engaged. Extend back fully with control. Super. Open up. Feel your core working. Feel the back of the arms working. Feel your legs working as well. Last one on each side. And relax from here. Super. Don't just sit up, just slide out your side first and then come up with control. Sometimes when you get up with a start, it can give you a little bit of a head rush. So just be careful about that. Okay, from here, we're going to move into our last exercise before we start stretching again. This exercise is to work on the back and your shoulder stabilizing muscles. So you want to come into a half plank. So your knees are slight. So you step back into a high plank and drop your knees down. Now, if this is also difficult for you, take your knees slightly forward. Abs are engaged, lower back is completely flat. From here, you're going to take the hand forward, side, and back. Okay, and I'm going to show it to you from the other hand as well. Hand goes forward, side, and back. Now focus on this hand. It's not sinking into the ground. I'm pushing away from the ground. My abs are engaged. If you take your knees behind, it becomes slightly tougher and more challenging. So you want to reach forward, side, back, and then switch hands forward, side, back. Don't let your hips rock side to side. Keep the abs engaged. Keep pushing away from the ground. The main aim is to work on our shoulder stability, okay, as well as your core engagement. So let's do this together. 3 taps makes 1 round. So we're going to do 5 on the left and then 5 on the right. Starting together in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. You can either do all on one side or you can alternate between hands. I leave that choice up to you. Obviously, doing all on one side is going to be tougher. So if you are ready for the challenge, you can do all on one side. So tap forward, side, back. Keep your core engaged and remember to keep breathing between the reps. Keep breathing. Tap forward, side, back. This is a great way to work on your shoulder stability. Don't dump the weight in your wrist. Make sure your glutes are engaged. Make sure your abs are engaged so that that's what's taking the main weight. Distribute the weight equally on the other 3 points. When you're done with this, Just sit back in child's pose. So hands come forward, push your hips back. Give your body a second's rest. Open up your spine. And just breathe and come forward. Super. We're going to do one more last round of this. And then from there, we're quickly just going to learn a few stretches. Again, very simple seated stretches so that even if you're at your desk, you start getting a little bit of stiffness, pain around the shoulders, back. These are just some easy stretches that you can do seated during the day. Okay. Last round of our shoulder tap, of our shoulder stability. So abs engaged. Let's go. 5 on each side. Tap forward, side, back. Tap forward, side, back. Keep your core engaged. Forward, side, back. If you're ready to challenge yourself, you can do all on one side before switching to the opposite side. Remember, don't dump the weight in your wrist. Keep the abs engaged. Switch to the opposite side when you're done. Core engaged. Tap forward, side and back. Last one, forward, side, back. From here, push your hips back. Just rest in child's pose. Forehead down. Focus on your breathing for a second. And relax. Come forward. Lovely. From here, we're going to start our cool down sequence. We're going to start stretching before we go into the next segment of our session, which is the nutrition talk. So I'm sure all of you are like feeling the blood flow, the focus is there, and we're ready for the next bit where we quickly just stretch. So I want you to take one arm across your chest, lock the elbow into elbow, look towards the same side, and gently pull the elbow towards you. Feel a nice stretch in the back of your shoulders, back of the arm. Keep your shoulder blades relaxed. Our shoulders are our stress muscles. There are reaction muscles. So make sure your shoulders are nice and relaxed. Pull the arm across your body. Relax and switch sides. From here, look towards the same side to get a slightly deeper stretch in the back of your shoulder. Just focus on your breath. So I just taught you 5 exercises today, but trust me, if you do these regularly, you will see a very strong difference in your core and your glute strength, as well as the shoulder stability and strength that we worked on right now. Okay, so same seated comfortable posture. Take your right hand, place it on the left thigh and look towards the back. So you're getting a nice twist in your spine. Just breathe into the twist. I'm looking at you so you can hear me, but I want everybody to look towards the back of the room. Feel a nice stretch in the spine. Only go as much as you're comfortable. From here, lift up. Hand comes up. Twist, look back. Again, open up and twist, looking towards the opposite side of the room. And come back to the center. From here, bring your feet together. Use your elbows to push into the side of your thighs. Keep your spine straight and just shift the weight side to side. So again, when we sit a lot during the day, your inner thigh muscles and the hips tend to get very stiff. So this is a great way to help open it up. Keep your chest wide. Just gently bend forward if you're comfortable. Otherwise, you can stay in that position. And gently come back up. We're going to end with the next stretch. So just push the arm away from you. Now, please pay very important attention to this, just because you don't want to cause any strain around your neck. The focus of the stretch is pushing my arm away from me, and I'm just very lightly holding my head. I'm not pulling my neck. I'm pushing my arm away from me to get a stretch on the side of my neck. So do this together. Push the arm away from you. Gently drop your neck down to the side and feel a lovely stretch along the neck. If you're comfortable here, look down and get a slight stretch at the back of the neck. Again, this is a great way to open up the neck. And I'm not pulling at my head. I'm pushing this arm away from me to safely execute this stretch. From here, press away from the ground, press away from you. Push the hand into the ceiling, into the floor, into whatever is next to you, and gently look down, getting a stretch at the back. Okay, I said last stretch, but I'm adding one more. I want you to grab the arms behind. So the palms will interlock behind. Open up your chest, okay? Look up to the ceiling and just push your breath into the chest area to really help open up the chest. Now, this is something I highly recommend you do at least 2-3 times in the day safely. Don't just directly jump into the stretch. Maybe do a few shoulder circles before and after. But pull the arms back, open up your chest to the ceiling, and just push your breath over there. So you're opening up your chest, opening up your shoulders, pulling the arms down. So your shoulders shouldn't shrug up. Pull the arms down, elongate your neck, and just focus on your breath. Super. Okay, guys. Have a sip of water. Let's get ready. Take a seat. We're going to jump into the next segment. Yes, we're ready to jump into the next bit. Okay. So I hope everybody can clearly see my screen. So we're going to be discussing the fundamentals of nutrition. Now, why is nutrition important in the first place? Why is it important to even pay attention to what we're eating, right? Just give me a second, guys. Okay, I'm pretty sure you're also tired of my constant talking, but we're ready to jump into this. So can everybody see my screen? I hope that's all good. Cool. So hi, I am Mishti. Like Sanjeet already introduced you, I have done my MSc, which is a Masters of Science in Sport and Exercise Nutrition. I am also currently a PhD candidate at the University of Huddersfield. So I'm leaving in like less than 2 weeks now to go back and study more. I have done my certified personal training course almost 5 years ago, and I'm constantly updating on that. And my whole approach to fitness and nutrition, exercise in general, is that I just love moving, whether it's boxing, yoga, bouldering. I truly believe as humans we're limitless in terms of our physical and mental capabilities. And the best way to do that is to play, have fun, explore different movement patterns. So exercise doesn't just have to be going to a gym. There are so many options available. So I hope everybody finds something that they enjoy doing through movement. So why nutrition in the first place, right? As we know, our body and our cells kind of regenerate on a daily basis. And what gives our body that energy to regenerate is the food that we eat. So our food is a source of nourishment. Our food is our fuel. Now, if you constantly overeat and don't exercise enough, that is, if you consistently consume more calories than what you burn, it will lead to weight gain over time. I'm not saying this is going to happen overnight, but this is something that happens over time. On the other hand, if you are burning, so the calories that you're expending or losing are more than what you're consuming, then that will lead to weight loss, obviously, right? Because you're not eating as much as you're burning. But you want to make sure that that is done in a sustainable fashion. You don't want to drastically do that because that also has its own side effects. My point being is balance is key. You want to balance your exercise and the amount of calories you burn in the day with the right kind of nourishment, making sure that the scale doesn't tip too much in either way. It kind of is balanced. And even the kind of food that we eat. We have an unlimited option of fast food and all of that, but we still want to make sure we're getting most of our nutrition from healthy, homemade, food, which you kind of have charge over rather than the quick fixes. Undereating versus overeating. So overeating, as we know, over time can cause, and I'm not talking about, again, overeating at one particular meal. I'm talking about consistently over consuming calories over a prolonged period of time, that will lead to weight gain, which can lead to different lifestyle diseases like diabetes, hypertension. You know how it goes. It can lead to loss of agility. It can slow down your movement. It can lead to lethargy, fatigue, low energy, and gastrointestinal issues. On the other hand, drastically undereating is also not recommended at all. It can lead to fatigue, low energy, muscle loss, because then when your body doesn't have adequate fat or calorie sources or carbohydrate sources coming in for energy, it's going to look at your muscle. And that's what we don't want. You don't want to lose muscle, because muscle is not only the skeletal muscle we see, muscle also creates the organ tissue. So you don't want muscle loss at all. It can increase your chances of injuries just because the muscle is also lesser, and it can increase your deficiencies of key vitamins and minerals, which again we don't want. So what are our key food groups or the macronutrients? Now, these are carbohydrates, protein, and fat. I do not believe in any diet which drastically cuts down any of these key food groups. Your body needs all three of these to function optimally. When you look at like a keto diet, which drastically cuts down your carbohydrates or reduces your carbohydrates completely, it's not sustainable in the long run. There have been studies which have shown that eating such high amounts of fat can lead to heart disease in the future as well. So you overall, for your long-term health, want to make sure that any kind of diet that you choose suits your lifestyle. So you want to make sure you're getting all three of these key food groups, which is carbohydrates, protein, and fats. We're going to jump into all of these a little bit. So carbohydrates are your body's primary source of energy. When the hierarchy of your body's energy needs goes, it's carbohydrates first. That is what your body will use immediately for any kind of energy. After carbohydrates comes fat and then protein. So your body really doesn't like to use protein as a source of energy. So carbohydrates, fats, and then protein. Carbohydrates are made up of three things, which are fiber, starch, and sugar. Fiber is again a very, very important part of our diet. I'm going to talk more about that. Now, extra carbohydrates in your body, contrary to popular belief, is not stored as fat. It is stored as glycogen in your muscles as a reserve source of energy. So carbohydrates are not stored as fat in your body. A lot of people are meant to believe this in the mainstream media, but that's not what it's stored as. Only if you consistently overeat, then it gets stored as fat, but that could be extra protein, extra fat. It doesn't have to be only carbohydrates. You typically want to make sure that 40 to 60% of your total daily intake is coming from carbohydrates. You can play around with this number a little bit, even going to 50, even going to 30%, but you don't want to go below 30. So typically the range is between 40 to 60% of your daily calories should come from carbohydrates. There are two types of carbohydrates, simple and complex. Again, I'm going to jump into this further. Per gram of carbohydrate, it is 4 calories. So whether you have 100 grams of table sugar or 100 grams of honey, both which are pure sources of carbohydrate, it is going to be 400 calories. Okay. So 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories. That's what the law of the universe is, or whatever. So don't let anybody fool you otherwise, saying that this is low carb, low calorie carbohydrates and high calorie. It's 1 gram of carbohydrates is 4 calories, whether it's coming from white rice or brown rice. Now, white rice versus brown rice, again, a lot of people get confused about this. White rice is just a more refined source of brown rice. And as we talk about it further, you'll get a better understanding. But just because brown rice is unrefined, it has more fiber, it has a little bit more fat. That's why, in fact, it's slightly more higher calorie per 100 grams as compared to white rice as well. So simple versus complex carbohydrates. Simple sources of carbohydrates are typically more refined. They are the most simple source of carbohydrates, like fructose, which is found in fruits, glucose, which is your table sugar, and lactose, which is found in milk. Now, these can cause a quick blood sugar rise just because they're very easily absorbed by your body. So you want to be careful about these sources. They are very good to give you instant energy, but it also causes a crash in energy very quickly. So that's why fresh fruits, which have a lot of fiber in them, are your best sources of simple carbohydrates. You want to get at least 2 to 3 servings of fruit per day because they're packed with a lot of vitamins and minerals. You want to avoid the fruit juices, table sugar, even honey and all should be moderated just because they cause a very instant blood sugar spike. Complex carbohydrates are less refined. They are higher in fiber, which means they're more filling. They digest slowly. They help keep you full for longer and give you more energy, sustained energy as well. Whole grains, dals, chickpeas, beans, vegetables, these are your best sources. Things like potatoes, corns, and all. Corn is slightly higher in starch as compared to fiber. So that's why that intake should also be regulated, but again, it's completely okay to have. Okay, this is a little quiz. You can drop your answers in the chat box. I'm just giving us 1 minute for this. So now can you tell me whether so you can just put one, whatever, simple or simple or complex, 2 simple or complex, 3 simple or complex. Just let me know in the chat box so I have an idea. Superb. I can see your answers coming in. Yeah, you can even give it as is. Great job, guys. Oops, sorry. I didn't mean to change the. Great. Okay, perfect. Okay, everybody is giving pretty good answers. So bread, I'm going to quickly talk you through this. Now, the type of atta that the bread is made from is really important. If it's something like maida, or which is refined flour, that would be a more simple source of carbohydrate just because it's really been stripped of all the nutrients and fiber. Whereas if you look at a brown bread, not a brown bread, sorry, a whole wheat bread or a multi-grain bread or a seeded bread, that will be a more complex source of carbohydrate. So that's what you would ideally want to opt for, just because it will give you a more sustained release of energy and not a drastic jump. Second, which is the banana, is a simple source of carbohydrate. Like we discussed, it's the type of sugar that is found in fruits that makes it a simple source of carbohydrate. Third, which is the rajma, is perfect. That's a complex source of carbohydrate. It's going to give you more sustained energy release and keep you full for longer because of its fiber content. So fiber is an indigestible substance found in plant foods. It helps to keep you full, fast, and for longer. So let's take a very simple example of orange juice. Now, when you have a glass of orange juice, you juice it, you remove all the fiber. It takes about 4 to 6 oranges to give you 1 glass of orange juice, which you can have like gut finish in 2 minutes flat. It won't keep you full at all. But if you had to eat the orange, which is full of fiber, that you will not be able to have 4 to 6 oranges at once, right? You will max have 1 or 2. So that again helps you understand how fiber increases the bulk and helps keep you full, and also maintains your blood sugar levels much better as compared to fruit juices. Now, you must have heard about probiotics, which are the healthy gut bacteria that live in your stomach and intestines, which promote, healthy gut and brain functioning. Fiber is a prebiotic, which means the gut bacteria need fiber to feed on and make sure that your digestive system is working efficiently. So fiber should make up about 10% of your daily intake. You will find fiber in dals, grains, fruits, vegetables, even nuts and seeds to some level. It's not there in any kind of protein source like chicken, fish, etc., or fat like oils. So fat, now this is our second key food group. Now fat is an energy reserve. Fat is very important for maintaining your healthy hormonal function. A lot of vitamins like vitamin A, D, E, and K are fat soluble vitamins, means that they cannot be dissolved in water. They need fat to dissolve and be efficiently used by our body. And we know how important vitamin D is for our immune function. So you want to make sure you are having adequate fat through the day, but this should come from healthy sources of fat which have a lot of omega-3s, omega-6, omega-9. So these are your healthy fats, which are your unsaturated fatty acids. Okay. Now you just need to be careful about your fat intake because fat is 9 calories per gram. If we think and remember, carbohydrates were 4 calories per gram. So fat is more than double. So that's why you want to make sure fat makes up only about 15 to 20% of your daily calorie intake. Fat can be from eggs, nuts, chia seeds, olive oil, coconut oil, even ghee is very healthy. Just being mindful about the quantity that goes into our cooking. Protein. Now, protein is essential for a lot of functions in our body. It literally makes up our DNA through the amino acids that are present in proteins. Now, protein is required for muscle growth, muscle repair, antibody creation, a lot of hormonal creating a lot of different hormones and enzymes in your body. So it's needed on a daily basis. Please don't only associate protein with like bodybuilding, etc. You need it for your day-to-day functioning, for your muscle health and bone health as well. Now, protein is of two types, which is incomplete and complete. And that comes from these amino acids. Some amino acids are essential amino acids, which means that your body cannot produce them. It needs to be consumed through food. Now, non-vegetarian sources like chicken, fish, even dairy are all complete sources of protein because they contain all essential and non-essential amino acids. Vegetarian sources of protein like dal, beans, dal and beans mainly actually, they are missing some of these essential amino acids, which is why it's very important to have some kind of dairy like yogurt with your meal, or mix the different types of grains that you're having. So say for example, the amino acid which is missing in dal is present in rice and vice versa. So when you have dal chawal together, it makes it a complete meal. Other good vegetarian sources of complete protein are soya. So you'll get, soya chunks, tofu, soy milk. So that can also be had in moderation to help with your protein intake. But if you are vegetarian, the best way to make sure you're getting adequate protein throughout the day is to mix up these different grains so that you're getting good quality protein. Now, on an average, as a rule of thumb, your grains like rice, wheat, etc., they are about 80% carbohydrates and 20% protein, whereas dals, beans, chickpeas, those are about 60% carbohydrates and 40% protein. Now, this is not completely accurate, but it's a good rule of thumb. So if you're vegetarian, you want to focus on the getting more of the dals and beans. I'll talk about that when we talk about creating a balanced plate. Protein should make up about 25 to 30% of your daily calorie intake. Whether you are exercising, not, still you need about 25 to 30% of daily intake from protein. Like carbohydrates, protein is only 4 calories per gram. And again, it's very important in keeping you full faster and full for longer. Moving on to micronutrients. So we spoke about the macronutrients, which was carbohydrates, protein, and fat. Now we're talking about the micronutrients, which are our vitamins and minerals. There are about 13 essential vitamins and 15 essential minerals. Most of these can be found through food, apart from things like vitamin D3, which is usually required, sun production. You need the sun on your skin to help create that in the body. Now, there are no benefits of taking extra micronutrients. So, in COVID, everybody was having extra vitamin C, vitamin D3, iron. Your body will urinate it out, flush it out of your system if it has extra. So there's no need to have extra. It's not going to give you superpowers. But even the slightest deficiency can be harmful. So the best way to make sure you're not deficient is to get a blood test done every year. You don't need to do it on a monthly basis or anything like that. Once a year, if you don't have any existing condition like diabetes, hypertension, anything like that, once a year, getting a routine blood test done to make sure that your vitamin B3, vitamin B12, all these minerals and vitamins are in control. Once a year, just check. And then according to that, speak to your doctor and get the supplement if you're unable to meet the requirement through food. Now, the best way on a daily basis to ensure you're getting your vitamins and minerals is by eating the rainbow. So different colored fruits and vegetables have different levels of vitamins and minerals in them. And the best way to do that is eat adequate amount of fruits and vegetables during the day. So we already spoke about 2 to 3 servings of fruits per day. Vegetables, 5 to 7 servings of vegetables per day. That includes breakfast. So make sure you're getting some amount of vegetables at breakfast, lunch, and dinner. Best way to make sure you're getting all your vitamins, minerals, and antioxidants. The way your body absorbs the vitamins and minerals through food is uncomparable to the medicine. So the best way to do that is eating the rainbow. Remember this phrase, it's really important. Okay, moving on to creating our plate. 50% of your plate should be green leafy vegetables, and that 2 to 3 servings of fruit if you'd like to have it with your meal, or you can have that as a snack. But 50% of your plate should be vegetables. Now it can be a raw salad and a mix of cooked bhajis that we have during the day. Then you move on to making sure 25% of your plate is protein, whether it's your boiled eggs, whether it's chicken, whether it's your dal. If you're vegetarian, then you want to make sure you're getting at least double the quantity of dals versus the grain. So if you're having dal and rice, 1 bowl of rice, 2 bowls of dal. That will help to make sure that this is balanced. And the rest 25% should be a fiber-rich carbohydrate like your roti, rice, it could be quinoa, barley, whatever you prefer having. Just make sure. What we tend to do is we take our plate. The minute the roti gets over and the bhaji and the dal is left, we'll go get another roti to finish it off. No, finish everything in the plate. Then if you're still hungry, get a second serving of the vegetables, of the dal or the chicken or your protein, and the carbohydrates. So maintain this balance throughout. Otherwise, we'll finish our one roti, get another roti to finish the bhajis, etc. No, finish everything first and then move on to getting seconds, because the protein and the fiber is what's going to keep you full faster and full for longer. And that what contains most of the amino acids and the vitamin and minerals. So that's why you want to make sure that these are in balance. How to read nutrition labels. Now, first thing would be to making sure that the claims at the front match what the back of the packaging says. Often, we get caught up in our marketing gimmicks, etc. So making sure that you turn around and read the label. Keep an eye out for serving size. Keep an eye out for different names of sugar. I'm going to talk to you about this a little bit more now. Whole food, organic, baked, or low-fat products may not always be the healthiest. So that's why these are also something to be mindful about. Now let's look at this label. Everybody would have heard of, the raw pressery or the juice brands that we have. Now again, this is nothing against these brands. This is just a good example for me to show you. So it says, everybody knows the front of it says no added sugar, 100% natural juice. But serving size is 1 glass. So again, they're not trying to fool us by the serving size. It's an accurate serving size, 1 glass. Calories, 110. Now let's look at the carbs. Carbs is 24 grams. Fiber is only 1.4 grams. Out of that, the sugar, natural sugar is 19 grams, which is like a lot of sugar to be having in one hit. Added sugar is 0, and they can claim that, right? Because they haven't added any sugar. But because they have used fruit juice concentrate, stripped it off of its fiber, for your body, it's the same or similar as having that instant hit of sugar from a spoon, Yes, let's look at the ingredients. It's made with apple, cucumber, kale, mint spirulina. Now just imagine this as a salad. It would be a big, beautiful green salad, right? But in this juice, it's been crushed and removed. So this is just to show you that you're better off eating the calories rather than drinking it, because these 100 calories you wouldn't even feel, it wouldn't keep you full at all, but it still significantly adds up over time. And again, that same blood sugar hit you want to avoid. Okay, so this is a yoga bar versus a max protein bar. Both of these bars are very healthy. I enjoy both of them, but let's look at the serving size. This is a 50-gram bar for the max protein bar, and the yoga bar is a 60-gram bar. So there's only a 10-gram difference in the size of the bar. But if you look at the energy, which is the calories, this is 180 calories, and this is 270. So this is like 100 calories more, the yoga bar. That's because this has slightly more fat, slightly more protein. So as a snack, both of these are fine, but the yoga bar, the max protein bar would be a more appropriate serving size as a snack, because the yoga bar would be more like a supplement to a meal, just because it's so much higher in calories. But again, both of these are completely fine. It's just to show you that even though there's only a 10-gram difference between them, it still is significantly higher in calories. So always just read the label. We're almost at the end of this, guys, so thank you for being patient with me so far. This is your Nourish Organics almond cookies, and this is your regular Britannia almond cookies. Sorry, I'm going to take questions at the end, so if you can just keep your questions for me towards the end of the session. So organic biscuits, obviously these are going to be double or triple the price of your regular Britannia biscuits. But if we look at the calories and the other factors like the carbohydrates, protein and fat, it's all pretty much the same. So whether you're having organic biscuits or gluten-free biscuits or keto biscuits, or you're having your regular biscuits like Britannia biscuits, at the end of the day, a biscuit is a biscuit, and it still is a treat and should be enjoyed in moderation. Just because something is organic, gluten-free, sugar-free, etc., doesn't automatically make it healthier. We're going to skip through that one because it's similar. These are just some regular well-being tips that I like to talk about to help with boosting mental alertness, general productivity, and mood during the day. So on waking, trying to get 3 to 10 minutes of natural sunlight is very important to help set your natural circadian rhythm, or the natural rhythm of your sleep and wake cycle of your body. So sunlight, again, is a very potent stimulator for vitamin D3 production, for adrenaline production, cortisol production. Adrenaline, cortisol, they are the kind of mood boosting, alertness promoting transmitters and hormones that we have. Even a cold shower in the morning, that also really helps. So you want 3 to 10 minutes of direct sunlight. So make sure there's no window or anything like that. Try to go out into the outdoors, or if you have a window, open it up. Obviously, don't directly look at the sun if it's hurting your eyes, but just making sure you're getting some kind of natural light. Walk for 5 minutes for every hour of sitting. Now, this is very, very important. Sitting for extended periods of time without any break has a very strong impact on our health. You want to make sure you're not very sedentary during the day. So 5 minutes of walking for every hour of sitting, whether that means taking a call while you walk, or just a little bit of a break, or even the few stretches that we did, getting a little bit of movement, mobility in is very, very important. As you move into the evening, turn your phone on to a darker setting so that that blue light doesn't affect the sleep that you're going to have at night. Try to keep your phone 40 to 60 minutes before you sleep so that you're not distracted by it, and try to create a healthy sleep routine and aim to get 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Now, I know we spoke about nutrition today, but if there's one thing you have to take away from this entire talk, I would say take the 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. The way sleep affects our recovery, mental function, long-term health is very, very underrated. If sleep came in the form of a miracle drug, everybody would be on it, you know. So 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep every night. It's not possible to catch up on sleep. So we tend to sleep 4 5 hours every night during the week and think we can catch up over it on the weekend. That doesn't work. So I strongly recommend starting to build up to at least 7 hours of sleep every night. Sorry. Okay, well, at the end of this, I'm going to be taking questions after this. General guidelines for your health and nutrition over here would be, first thing is keep it simple. Don't overcomplicate things. Focus on whole foods. Focus on things that you have control over, making your own food if possible, being self-reliant, being prepared, and focus on adding instead of eliminating. We want to focus on an abundant lifestyle, making sure we're getting in the good things. So automatically the, you know, like the, I don't want to call it bad, but just the general kind of processed junk food kind of eliminates out by itself. Like, say, for example, you're going out for pizza with friends and, you know, you're trying to lose weight, for example, doesn't mean you have to miss out on a night out with your friends or a dinner with your friends. You can still go out, but instead of having an entire pizza like you normally would, have maybe have 2 3 slices, but instead add some vegetables, add a side salad, add some grilled protein, like some grilled chicken, grilled tofu. So don't think about restricting, think about how you can add more movement to your life. Because even like the non-exercise activity that you do during the day, like say, for example, you take the car to your gym, but if you can walk to the gym, that's going to add more steps into your day. You want to make sure you're getting at least 8,000 to 10,000 steps in a day. So just focus on how you can add more movement, more healthy food into your life rather than only looking at things restrictively. It doesn't have to be an all or nothing kind of an approach. Next thing, last point would be avoiding processed food, just because, you know, too much packeted food and things like that does have a very strong impact on your gut, and because of the preservatives, etc., that they use. Empty calories would be things like, you know, full sugar Coke, drinks and things like that. So try to opt for the zero sugar ones. I'm not saying those are good, but those are better than the full sugar options. Okay, guys, I'm going to be